you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
The Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. Today being the 13th of December, 2022, and we welcome you to the program, and we hope that you enjoy it. Now, if you would like to be a participant in today's programming, all you have to do is call this number, 516-453-9921. And if you have a question, you can press the number 1 button, and maybe it'll go away like I did. But anyway, and then you'll get in line for your call or comment to be answered. Please, ma'am, please, sir, make it brief so that Mr. Fuller can answer your question with understanding, because the one thing that we do not want is confusion. When you do that, please also give the call screener your name so that I can get you in here, like Corey did from Milwaukee. Thank you, Corey. But the person in the 937 area code don't have you up here yet. And for some reason, they got me with my hand up. I don't have a question yet. We are experiencing some problems on my end. My phone, so the Gmails may be real difficult to read today. I must have done something that I do not understand. So if you hear something in the background, a voice talking, that is my phone that is going off. So I hope I can rectify the problem before the program is out. You can also contact the show by my Gmail. It is the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. Now, it will not be answered today, probably, depending upon these problems that I'm having, but we'll see. If not, I will give you a little symbol that I'm now using to let you know that I have received it. And the chat room is open. All you have to do is go to blogtalkradio.com. And when you do that, you want to go on the icon that says programs, and then you want to hit that, and then the Produce Justice show will come up, and you hit that. Then the chat room is available for you to go into the chat, and you can do that. Okay, again, bear in mind I'm having tremendous difficulty. The usual suspects are in play, but we will do the very best that we can do. Okay, on the line I have Mr. Fuller. He's in Washington, D.C. I will introduce him to some and present to others, and I will do that right now. Mr. Fuller, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
You are still learning. Okay, this is the segment that we have here called Thoughts and Expressions from the Mind of Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Mr. Fuller, on this day, the 13th of December 2022, what is on your mind?
Well, right about now, I'm thinking about the years between now and 2030, which from a lot of some reading that I've been doing and some information that has come to my attention, what's supposed to be valid, is that it's going to be greatly volatile between here in December of 2022 and the year 2030, right on through that area. What's going to be volatile? Well, a lot of things are going to be happening rapidly, and a lot of changes, ups and downs, all kinds of turmoil here and there as usual, plus added turmoil in places that you don't expect, plus the climate changes, all kinds of changes in technology, significant breakthroughs, things that are going to take many people or a great number of people by surprise, that's going to alter how people behave with the things that are going to be produced in communications and et cetera. All types of breakthroughs in food, et cetera, changes in the housing situation for people, which already we see that and have seen it from the years past right up until now, meaning black people might have to move a lot more than they thought that they'd ever have to, because people are on the move. People are coming across borders, and this is rearranging a lot of things that people are not used to. So be ready to pack up everything and move almost at any time and do it in a hurry. And these are the things I've been thinking about. And also make as many contacts as you can. The code book calls it care units. Try to have some type of networking going on with both white and non-white people, and people that you usually don't get along with during this what we call holiday season. But sometimes between now and January, try to patch things up as best you possibly can, because you're probably going to need people that you thought you didn't need. And you're going to need to make contacts that you usually, maybe even with people that you haven't contacted in years. Make these contacts if you think it will be constructive to do so. People that you had a little falling out with, or you just kind of drifted apart. I mean, contact them. And also have start making consolidated plans that even involve other people, most likely, because you just can't do everything by yourself, because you're going to have to be doing a whole lot of things in the future just to keep up, sometimes running out of breath. And that's what I see coming. So I'm saying cut back on the number of things you have to carry around, the number of things that you have to move in case you have to move. Cut back on all of this, even though they say, all the Black Fridays and Super Sale Mondays and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Cut back on all of that, because you're going to have to move that stuff. You're going to have to find a place to put all that stuff if you have some of them. If you have acquired enough through wild spending and whatnot, parcel some of that out and try to do it in the most constructive manner. Get rid of baggage, for sure. Extra baggage of any kind. And try to learn as much as you can while you're going along, because you're going to need as much knowledge as you can, even if you're working around white people who are hostile to you. Try to get them. Try to get along. Be kind to them. And hope that they be kind to you. And even if they're not, if they have what you need, stop this job hopping, because you never can tell when that's going to be stable enough to sustain you. You got hundreds and thousands of people coming across borders now who are going to be willing to take any kind of job. And so they'll be given the jobs to do. It might include you or somebody that is close to you, and that'll disrupt everything that you thought you had planned. And don't blame the people who are taking the jobs. That's not where the problem is. The white supremacists decide who's going to work where. And so people are coming across borders, and people are going to be coming across borders for the next 10 years all over the world. Borders are going to start evaporating because people are going to have to be on the move. If no more than on account of climate changes, which I believe have some substantial credibility. That's on my mind this morning.
That's on your mind. Okay. All righty. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. 516-453-9921 is the contact number that you can get it in with. Or if you want to Gmail me, and I'm going to strongly recommend that you don't, not today, because Mr. Bobby is having problems. The usual suspects are in play big time. But if you decide to do it anyway, the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at gmail.com. Speaking of a Gmail, here's one question come up here from Rachel. It says, Mr. Fuller, should non-white people find security in the code for victims of white supremacy?
That's why the book is written. Should non-white people find security? Well, I don't know if I use that word security, but you will find ways, let's just keep it simple, find ways to solve problems on a daily basis, because that's why the book was written. Until you can find it, through that process, solve the biggest problem, which is the problem of removing from this earth permanently this illegitimate government called the system of white supremacy and replacing it with America, Africa, and Asia, which don't exist at this particular time. And what is America, what is Africa, and what is Asia? When you add it up, what does that equal? It equals the practice of justice. And what is justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated at any time in any area of activity, and that the person that needs help the most, anywhere on the planet, gets the most constructive help. And that will bring about, theoretically, logically speaking, this thing that we talk about just about this time of year more than any other time, peace on earth. Eliminate all this gunfire and all like that. Get rid of all these blockbuster movies. Don't get rid of them. I mean, I don't believe in censorship. Let everybody express what is really on their minds. And I don't believe in it. It's about what not Neely Fuller believes, but that's logical. Everybody should say exactly what they're thinking. That should be a part of the years in the future for everybody. Everybody be able and get an audience for saying exactly what they're thinking, rather than hide what they're thinking about anything. Just to tell the truth about what you really think. It can be handled. But if people are walking around being dishonest, first of all with themselves and then with other people, you're going to continue to have the violence and the bloodshed and the misunderstanding and all the other evils that we have now. Because that's not saying what you really think is a form of deception. If you don't like somebody, be able to say it. And then follow up with another question, why? Why is it you don't like them? And be able to say that. And then everybody be on the same page and getting an understanding of this world that we've been given. To do just that. Everybody understands everybody. No question marks about nothing. That's what causes problems. The question mark with no answers. that's why you have the violence that we have.
Okay. All right, Rachel, there you go. And thank you for your Gmail. Let's go to the phone lines, and we're going to go to this caller here. Unappreciated third grade teacher from Ohio. Let me see if I can get you in here. Okay, that's looking good. Wait a minute. Okay, you're in. Good morning and welcome to the program. What's your question for Mr. Fuller?
Good morning, sir, and good morning, Mr. Fuller. I have two questions if there's time. The first one is, can Mr. Fuller expound on the quote on page 102 in the area of education, and that quote being stupid is better than being smart, but only if one enjoys being stupid, which is also stupid. Can Mr.
say 102?
Fuller expand on that for me? Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just a thought. See, the one of the titles of the textbook is Thought in Action. There's nothing to expound on in that particular presentation. That's just something for a person to think about. See, some of us walk around, and that's why it's in there. We don't even know where to start to even think about this world that we're in. So you can just take that, and that's why that sounds like the reason I put it in there. That's not anything that you particularly will act on, but it will cause you to think about not just what was said about that, but about a whole lot of things. It's sort of like a lead-in presentation, and you'll find a lot of them in the back of the book, the basic textbook. Just sayings from me. All of them are sayings that came from me. They're not quotes from anybody else, but they're just notes and quotes. So a lot of them in the back of the book. But that one is in the core of the book, the one that you just cited. And it sounds like one of the things that I say in the book that is just put there to cause a person to think. And to think just not about what that says, but what it will lead. Think about other things that may be connected with that, and other things, because people either do something that is constructive and not stupid, or they're doing something stupid and non-constructive. There's no wiggle room there. So this helps you to think along those lines, presumably.
Okay.
It is definitely thought-provoking. Yes, sir.
Yes.
It is definitely thought-provoking. I said it's definitely thought-provoking, and I greatly appreciate it. The second question is, can you share your thoughts regarding the term class as it relates to education, like a class of students or a graduating class? Could you share your thoughts regarding that term, please?
Yes, I think that people, first of all, should think about that word class. Now, I don't think I have it in the word guide, which is an addendum, an add-on to the basic textbook, the 2016 edition. I don't think the word class is in there. But that's a word that you ask people about when you're talking to them. They'll say, why do you call this a class? Why is this a class? You say you're going to, and you got a class of education. You got, why is education divided into classrooms? Education is education. All of them are just rooms where you learn stuff. Why did they call them classrooms? And some professor should be able to answer that. Since they are in a class, they call it that. Where did the word, why did somebody decide to call it a classroom? So you can ask for definitions about any word. And that's very important to remember, too, for a lot of black people who are in school. Ask questions about every word that you hear. And why do they call it high school? Class, high, middle school. Education is education. Why not just call it getting educated? And what do you mean by education? Learning everything you need to know. Because when you come out of there with something in your hand and you don't know everything you need to know, then it's time to go back and find out why. That'll be the first question in. That extended school. They'll say you have finished school. No such thing as finishing school until you know everything that you need to know. And when I say that you need to know, I'm not talking about right then. I'm talking about for the rest of the time that you'll be breathing. That's what education is. Everything that you need to know when you come out of high school, since they call it high school, not just college, you should come out of high school knowing everything that you need to know. In order to do what? Solve every problem that you'll ever have. That should be the attitude toward every professor and every school system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So bringing up that question is excellent. But bring up questions not only about class, if you're talking about education, but about how do you call it elementary school, high school, and then college. Why not say, tell me everything that I need to know, and don't turn me loose until you're sure that I need to know it. Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to wind up locked up. I don't need to come in and say for 12 years and then wind up locked up because I didn't know all the things that I need to know to make it easier for me to move through this world with no headaches, because that's what school is supposed to do. I ain't got no problems because school solved all my problems before I left. When I came out, I was ready for everything that anybody throws at me. That's what school is supposed to do. And if it doesn't do that, something is incorrect about that quote-unquote school system. That's the compensatory logic.
Uh-huh. Okay. All righty. Thank you. Unappreciated third grade teacher from Ohio. Okay, let's see here. Continuing on the phone lines, Corey, I think we're going to get you. Corey from Milwaukee. Okay. Corey, you are always Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. Fuller, building off of what you said in the beginning of the program, under the area of politics, can you express why it's important at this time and these coming troubling times for people to be willing to help all people, white and non-white, who are in the greatest need of help, particularly during conditions of great and destructive emergencies? This is coming from page 178.
Did I answer that question earlier? Is that the same question? Is that what you're referring to?
Corey?
No,
okay, give me the question again.
Okay. In the start of the program, you expressed what's on your mind about times getting troubling between now and 2030. Can you express why it's, according to compensatory logic, why we should be willing to help all people, white and non-white, who are in the greatest need of help, particularly during these coming times?
Because it's going to be all kinds of confusion, for one thing. And so anybody who can give you constructive help, anybody you can work with, in a constructive manner. Of course, that would happen. That's what the code is about anyway. So you're not belligerent. It's the white supremacists that make people hostile toward each other. But as much as you possibly can, if you're a person on this planet, any kind of person, try to get along with the people who are around you. That's who are going to be interacting with you on job situations, or try to find out and try to get them to tell you the truth. Even if you are a very sensitive person, if you're a very sensitive person according to the code, you should be even more sensitive about people telling you the truth. And if people tell you that they hate you, just ask them why. What am I doing that makes you hate me? I mean, you can do that calmly, even if they're screaming and yelling when they tell you that. You say, well, just calm down and, why do you hate me? What am I doing that makes you hate me? Well, I don't know. I mean, you just bug me. I mean, it's just something about you. It's something you ain't right. Well, have you figured out why it is? What do you mean by right? Because who is right? I'm just trying to get along. Can't we all get along, like Rodney King said? And I'm going to do my best to try. And I kind of think that maybe you ought to do your best to try, and we'll work out something here, so that we don't wind up screaming and yelling at each other every day, because that's not going to solve nothing. So let's just calm down. And that's the way you talk to people from now on, not just for the rest of this year or the coming years, up to 2030, which they say these next 7 years are. And I'm reading a book called 2030, and it kind of predicts that type of volatility and several other things I've been reading and keeping up with the news. It's going to be volatile. Lots of changes are going to be made. And you're going to get jerked around a lot if you're on this planet, in particular if you're in the non-white category. I mean, in this direction, in all of the areas of activity. So that's why that's in the textbook. That's a stabilizer, saying that, hey, try to be constructive in every move you make. And when other people, in particular all the white people, when you're talking to them and all like that, I mean, they're doing some scheming and whatnot and trying to undermine you, just stay on top of that simply by asking questions. And the main question is, Miss Allen, Miss Griffin, Mr. Jones, whomever it is you're talking to, who is white or non-white, Kenyatta, down on a loading dock, whomever. Say, now, do you think that this is constructive? Keep that word constructive in mind. That word, that one word, that'll take you through a whole bunch of stuff, particularly when you put it in the form of a question. Sir, ma'am, is this constructive or non-constructive? All these plans that you got for us here in this section, or where we work, or whatever we're doing, or this wherever you happen to be. This, most people make plans, particularly white people. Black people don't make very many plans, but white people make plans. That's why they're the most powerful people on earth. They just don't have a lot of slogans and high fives and bragging on themselves. I mean, they do that after they get everything done. Black people just do it as they go along, because being nothing but slaves, we think like slaves. And that's how slaves think. Slaves don't make no plans. Master make plans. Go down the road and see what Master said. I mean, he got everything all planned out. It don't make no sense for me to make no plans. I can't realize them nowhere.
Huh.
I don't know if that answers your question, but I think so.
Okay. All righty. Thank you, Corey. All righty. It's 9:30, so let's do this. Thank you, Corey. You're listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we thank you for listening to today's program. If you would like to get in contact with the show or have a question for Mr. Fuller, dial this number, 516-453-9921, and make sure that you give your name to the call screener, and he will put you in line. By the way, if you are a first-time caller or new caller, let the call screener know that you are. They will give me that name, and you will have a place in line so that your question can be, you will be heard and your question can be answered. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. I will try to give you a symbol that I have it. I'm having some temporary problems, but we'll get that worked out. Or you could also do this. You can join the chat room. Absolutely. All you have to do is go to blogtalkradio.com. When you get on there, then you want to go to programs, and then when you hit programs, hit the Produce Justice Show. Get that bad boy. And then when you get that bad boy, there's a little place for the chat room, and you could go in there. You know, why don't you do that action? Yeah, I'm kind of messing with the word action because action speaks louder than words. 888. Anybody can say anything, but it's in the action anyway. That way I don't have to write you. Anyway, those are what you want to do to get in contact with the show, and we'll do that. Okay, let's see here as we navigate through these situations. While I'm doing that, let's go to Studi. Studi, wait a minute. In Canada, you are on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning, Mr. Bowser. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. My question had to do with a previous segment where Mr. Fuller was expressing his thoughts, the segment where he does his thoughts and expression. And he was talking about codification, about why we should not be writing books just for the sake of writing books, but rather we should be writing books that try to solve issues and problems. And then he went on to give like suggestions about what type of books should be created. And he gave 2 suggestions of books that should be in the making in the near future, or somebody should be making them. And he gave some sort of like titles to those books, just ideas to think about. And one of those titles was The Complete History of this System of White Supremacy. So that means a book that would explain how the system of white supremacy came to be and how it functions. And the second book was the code book on how to solve the race issue. So these are books that he was saying that people should be trying to make in order to try to help and solve this system of racism and white supremacy. I just want him to expand on it much more and explain why it will be important to have those books, or why people should be creating those code books in order to solve this issue.
Okay, Studi, we will have Mr. Fuller address that, and thank you for your call. Mr. Fuller?
Yes, if I understand what he was asking, going beyond what I have written, there needs to be, for the first time, we got millions of books on the race issue, but we need the book to go to. That's everybody on the planet, and I would think that somebody, what we might call something similar to, at the United Nations level, quote, unquote, United Nations, whatever that means, but somewhere along that level, there should be a book that they can just pull off from under in their briefcases or whatever, and put right on the desktop, wherever they happen to be, in any school, anywhere on the planet. And on that, the cover of that book will be the title, The History, the Complete History, as far as anybody knows. Every detail of the system of white supremacy. The complete history. Didn't leave nothing out, didn't make nothing up, just told it like it is. And all of the recommendations that have been made up until now, including, hopefully, things from my books. All of the best recommendations made by anybody that can be addressed to an individual of how to go about solving it. Now, that idea should be pushed as a part of the code by everybody. That's why I made that suggestion. We got thousands and millions of books about the race issue. I mean, who went through this and who went through that. And they got all kind of novels talking about, made-up stories that are based on truth and whatnot. All about how somebody feels about this and how somebody, with a certain thing that happened or didn't happen here and there. And but most of these books don't tell you anything about, let's just get it all together. And that's where that CRT comes in. Just build on that. A lot of white people criticizing and whatnot, but they say a lot of truths are coming out that have been skimmed over. And that's why you have statues coming down and all like that. I mean, we got no heroes in this. I mean, heroes are yet evolving to the extent that they're going to be heroes and sheroes and whatnot. On this race issue, we should just knuckle down and be serious so we can get something done for the first time. Because right now, nothing is being really done to solve the race problem. I mean, it looks like it is, but when you add it all up, we're just going around in a circle. I mean, they're still talking about elections. That shouldn't be anywhere on anybody's radar. I mean, that should be just taken for granted. We're talking about elections. We were talking about elections 800 years ago. As long as people have been having elections. And still arguing about who can, how you can vote and people stealing votes and all like that. And who should be in this position and that position. We got to be serious about everything now. It's a popular person that used to be here on the radio named Petey Green here where I am in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Petey Green, yeah.
And he had a slogan that he would use every now and then. It came from him, Petey Green, Mr. Petey Green. And he said, laugh if you must, but ain't a damn thing funny. And black people really need to take that to heart. Because we try to make everything funny. But it's understood why we would. We've been beaten down so much, we just try to laugh at everything. Until we just can't stand the laughter no more that's coming from us. Then we go where? We go from delirious laughter, laughing louder than anybody, to being angry. These are black people's, under the system of white supremacists, two basic emotions. We don't mostly don't have any others. Either everything is funny or we're mad about everything. One or the other. Nothing in between. And that's not normal. That's insane. One extreme to the other about everything, either laughing about everything are mad about everything. Want to kill everybody, including yourself.
Not
one
good.
extreme to the other. I mean, sometime in 5 minutes' time. 11 o'clock, laughing about everything. I mean, just falling all over the place, knocking stuff over, laughing. You can hear them 2 miles away. Black person laughing. And then 5 minutes later, pop, 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 pop. The sound of a 9mm pistol from the person who was laughing 5 minutes ago. We need to have a whole lot in between that. A whole lot.
All right.
Like serious thinking. Start that for a change.
Okay. Thank you, Studi, for your call. Okay, Mr. Fuller, this is from, this is from Dale. It says this, Mr. Fuller, under the area of economics, when begging or asking for constructive help that is needed, why should a non-white person repeatedly ask for such help from white people and avoid asking for such help from non-white people? What's wrong with asking other non-white people for constructive help if you need it?
Because they don't have it. The go-to, if any non-white person has anything, they got it from a white person. So you can do the same thing. Why get it secondhand? Why wait for your buddy to go up and ask some white person for something when you can go directly to that white person yourself? Because that's where he got whatever it is he has. Otherwise, he don't have nothing. Because no non-white person on this planet has anything that they can call their own. Not one. It all comes from the white supremacists. The white supremacists dominate everything that is on this planet. Otherwise, they wouldn't be white supremacists. You can't name something they don't dominate, directly or indirectly. Just because you don't see them around doesn't say that they're not in charge of whatever it is you're looking at, if whatever you're looking at is worth anything at all, including worth looking at.
Okay. All righty. Let's move on here. Thank you, Dale. Let's go to George from, he's in Toronto. George, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Mr. Bobby, and hi, Mr. Fuller. The question, well, I wanted to make a statement. Mr. Fuller, I know you are not my leader. I know you, and I don't want you to be. I can lead myself. You're not my mentor, especially in the meaning of what the white supremacist racists teach non-white people. The logic that came with the universe is my mentor, and this is what I learned from the code book that you wrote. I think if you and the previous progenitors in the past have been successful in planting the seeds of destruction of the prison system in our thoughts and in our speech and in our actions. I was just saying that because you've said before that if you haven't solved the race problem, then you have failed. But I always think that you've planted the seeds in your book and when you have these discussions. So, so I was just thinking, I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate the book and that I bought 4 copies of the code book, the one from 2016, and I bought 2 copies of the one from 1984, and one code book, and I gave them out to people who I didn't know. So I guess the question that I have now is, how do you deal with sexual sabotage in terms of when people are poisoning?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of when people are tampering with your food, or I've made codes for it and they seem to work. Is that basically just it?
Just whatever is the directions say, or the suggestions, rather, in the textbook for victims of white supremacy. Go to area 8. Let's see. Area 8 under sex, and it's whatever the suggestions are about what to do and what not to do about sex is in there. And just pick out the things that are most logical to you and do those things, and or not do those things if it's something that you don't do. It's all about doing and not doing. Just whatever is most logical to you, and whatever, when you try it, it works. Definitely don't go back and try nothing that doesn't work. Because whatever is presented in there, everything, if you do it, should work for you, not against you.
Okay. Yeah, because I called you a couple of weeks ago, and you see what I've been doing. I've been going directly to the white supremacists and asking them for making requests for the things that I need. And of course, at some point, they were the cause of why I didn't get what I needed in the first place. So a lot of the times, I have to make a report and submit it to them, and then they appear to be unaccessible to me. So I try to send a fax, I try to send an email, and sometimes they have their race soldiers.
Sometimes they do what?
He's not here. I think I may have hit the wrong button. I apologize, everybody. I'm having some issues here. In the background, you may hear some woman, I don't know who she is, in the background talking. The usual suspects are in play, which I did mention at the beginning of the program for those who weren't there. But if you can just bear in mind, I'll try to do the best I can to eliminate that as much as I possibly can. Mr. Fuller, this is the time for you to speak about your book. So have at it, please, sir.
Yes. All of the things that I'm talking about, most of them, either touch on or go into some type of depth. I didn't go into depth in most things because there's just so much to cover in 9 areas of activity. When you start talking about economics, how many books can you write on economics alone? And so I just have, you might say this, just brief photographs of the world as it is, the situations for non-white people as it is, and for white people, and where the white supremacists are dominating everything in all of these areas of activity, and they shouldn't be. People who believe in justice should be the people who are running everything, not people who are committed to doing non-justice based on color. That's incorrect and insane. So that's what the book is about, how to replace the system of white supremacy with a system of justice, and making suggestions of what the individual person can do in 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And that just about covers everything that people who are called people on planet Earth can be engaged in at any time. All of those areas of activity at once, directly or indirectly, because they're all interconnected, or specifically. But they're just categories of behavior. And all of a person, one individual's behavior, is connected with all of those categories, directly and indirectly, because you're associated not only with yourself, but with other people who are classified naturally as people. So it shows the best way, hopefully, to interact with other people, white, non-white, in a system of white supremacy. How best to go about doing it in all of these areas. That's what the book is about, as an individual. And this, if everybody does their best, according to what is written in this textbook, the problem should be solved. If we get a quantum number of people, the victims of white supremacy, because that's whom it's addressed to, doing at least most of the things that are in the textbook, the theory is the race problem will be solved by replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice, which means everybody will be on the same page when it comes to how people should react one with another.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. All righty. As we inch toward the closing hour, let's go to Darnell. Darnell in New York. Let me see if I can get you in here, Darnell. Let's see here. Okay, Darnell, you're on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question? Turn the radio down.
Oh, my God.
Okay, Darnell, you're on.
Hello? Mr. Bob?
Yeah, you're
Mr.
on.
Fuller?
You need to cut your radio down in the background.
I can't really control it. I'm in a cafe.
All right. Well, all right. Go ahead quickly.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. I was just curious about what continues to give words their strength in the system, and how can the victims use the words to better produce justice in the way that they've been using it.
Well, that's obvious. You use the words the way that the word guide says. And mostly when other people are talking, which you should be an excellent listener, which I am not the best of, but everybody should be an excellent listener, and listen for the words that other people use, and the formula is very simple. Ask them, what do they mean when they use the word? People don't ask enough questions about what people are saying. For example, if I understand what your question is, I heard someone say that President Donald Trump, ex-president, was a fascist. So some people were talking on the radio about the word fascist. I've heard that yesterday, I think, or the day before. And they discussed that word fascism for at least 15 or 20 minutes, one word. And they said that is they did research on the word, and if you do research, that word is all over the place. And it's very hard to tell what the definition really is. They say that the word fascism originated from Benito Mussolini, what they call a dictator in Italy. Some people may have heard the name Benito Mussolini, and he said that he is establishing fascism, and people started making that word popular. But I have asked the question and wondered about what the word actually means. What makes a person a fascist? What is fascism? And it was always vague to me. Now, I haven't even bothered to look at my own books and see if I got it in there. It may be, but that's just one example of what I think the caller is talking about. Anybody who uses any word that you have questions about, ask them what do they mean when they use the word. Because different people use the same word, but with a different meaning. I found that out early. And that's how I have a word guide showing at least what the word should mean according to logic. And that's all you continue to do. You can give it a definition if you want to. And you don't have to use Neely Fuller's, what Neely Fuller says is a logical definition. Give a word in the definition you want it to have, and then explain what the definition is. I did that with the word justice because I was very displeased with all of the definitions that I had seen in a number of dictionaries and encyclopedias. I'm saying, they're not telling me enough that I can use the word and know what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. So I stopped using the word justice the way it's used in the average dictionary. I don't use the word in the definition. I don't put that word fair in there at all. Fair play and all this. What does the word fair mean? The word fair is also associated with the word white. So it's white. You got to be white to practice justice. Somebody could make that case using the standard dictionary. Now I have to ask the caller, did I answer your question?
Wait a minute. Darnell, did he answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Darnell. Thank you so much. All righty. Well, we're coming down to the last couple of minutes of the first hour with all our issues that we are navigating our way through. Hopefully that voice that was heard in the background has subsided. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, it's not going to stop no show. And you're correct, Rita. The word that Mr. Fuller has is definitely getting out, and I'm glad to hear that one caller. I want to say it was Studi, but maybe George. Yeah, maybe it was George who has gotten books, and like you, 888, and has given them to people. That's good. That's how you begin to spread the word. Now, for those who are new to the program, you can get the books by going to producejustice.com. And Mr. Fuller, can those books now, did the overseas issues get rectified?
No, as far as I know.
Okay.
We're still working on it. That is a huge project, trying to do that. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to get all of the, information, which is what the code itself calls for, about the best process to use to get on track for doing that.
Okay.
The easiest route. But that information seems to be very difficult to come by.
Okay.
Because I'm self-published.
Yes.
And the publishing companies, if I had a publisher, it would be no problem because they are set up to do that. Most publishers, you're talking about not some type of operation, as far as I know, that's completely controlled by non-white people. So if you're self-published, everything becomes more difficult.
Yes, sir.
And I am self-published. Most publishers didn't want to handle my book.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes the first hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller. So, again, we thank you if you have to go. But if you are going to stick around, good. Stick and stay. Don't go away because we have another hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, which will commence in 5 seconds. All righty. Welcome back to the second hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller. And we thank you for tuning in, and we also thank you for hanging on. Get in contact with the show today. You know the numbers. 516-453-9921. Make sure that you depress the number 1 button so that you can be heard. If you have a question or a brief comment, I'm going to put brief in capital letters. Please, ma'am, please, sir, be brief so that we can get the calls in. You can also, and if you are a new caller, make sure that you tell the call screener that you are, and you will be heard. We have something special set up so your question can be asked, and Mr. Fuller can answer your question. You can also Gmail me. Now, let me tell you something about the Gmails today. There is a problem that we're trying to work out on this end. There's some woman in the background with some of them that's reading that, but right now it's temporarily taken care of. Usual suspects are in play, but we'll try to get that worked out. So I don't know if there'll be any more Gmails for today. However, you can go and get into the chat room by going to blogtalkradio.com. You want to make sure that you hit where it says, I was going to say programs, but yeah, programs, and then the Produce Justice show will come up. You hit that bad boy, and then the chat room becomes available to you, and you could get in there and get with the latest information that's going on with the chats. So you may want to do that. Yes. And don't forget, the books that Mr. Fuller talks about can be obtained by going to producejustice.com. That is producejustice.com. You'll be very glad that you did that. Thank you, Suave from L.A. in the house today. Okay, let's go back to the phone lines, and I'm going to talk to the man who hasn't been on for a long time. Stan, the man. Get ready, because I'm getting ready to cue you in if nothing doesn't happen. Okay, Stan, you're in. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. It's been quite a while since I called. Just been things going on. It's made it difficult. But good morning to you, gentlemen. Just had a quick statement and a question. The first one is that last time I called, I talked about Tom Burrell's book, Brainwash. I thought that was really good. And I know, Mr. Fuller, you have spoken with Carvey and Aharo before, and had that book, Race Code War, I thought was excellent. But the question that I have is, you said that it was interesting. You said at the beginning of the program. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry. It was some noise I heard. You said in the beginning of the program, be kind to white people who are hostile to you, and that was kind of what I wanted to talk about. I have done things for white people in the past, outstanding things that they wouldn't expect, just like things that I would do for anybody, even to small things like grabbing something off of the top shelf in the supermarket for an older white woman or something. And sometimes I'm caught with the thought of, would this white person have done this for me, or what is this white person doing in their private life to make things difficult for black people? And the question that I have is, are black people a utility to white people, like electricity or water or gas or transportation? And as a result of our kindness, our generosity, and our leadership skills. And so basically the question I have is, are we at a distinct disadvantage in trying to create a world of justice because of the fact that, it appears that we do things that they do not. And I would like to stay on the line to hear your answer, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Fuller?
Yes, the question is, are we at a disadvantage in doing what?
Yes, are black people, are we a utility like electricity or water or gas to white people because of our willingness to assist in all levels, whether we stop to help them change a flat tire or we give them a ride if their car breaks down and things that they wouldn't do for us. And so what I'm asking is that in trying to create a better world, are black people at a disadvantage because we are willing to help out and do things that the white supremacists or just white people in general would not do for us?
Well, because we are their slaves. White supremacy means slavery. There's no difference between slavery and white supremacy. That's seamless. People talk about when slavery ended and when it began and all like that. Anytime somebody is mistreating you based on your color, you are a slave. And that is perpetual. I mean, and that's, we can't separate slavery from racism, which we do. Black people do it. I mean, scholars do it of all types and whatnot. And we put it in nice, neat little boxes that are to the white supremacist advantage. So, since we are slaves, well, we do things that slaves do. And just look at it like that. I'm still a slave. I'm in prison. I'm also, and that's the best way to put it, so that black people really understand it, when you say we're prisoners of war. Now, a lot of black people have been what you call prisons. A lot of them in there now. Huge numbers. So when I just say, well, forget about it. If you don't understand slavery, you don't understand racism, just think of yourself as being a prisoner of war. So the prison is set up in such a way that you have prisoners. In other words, people who are in prison. The system of racism is a prison system. The name of the prison is the system of white supremacy that we are all in. So we are serving the white supremacists directly and indirectly, and in answer to directly to your part of the question, are they helping us? Yes, to the extent that we're getting any kind of help at all. When we go to the hospital, we go to hospitals, and they take care of their slaves in the hospital, and they do it in a manner that we can't take care of ourselves. That's why we go to the hospital. When we kill each other and shoot each other, we cry out, get me to a hospital. Now, I'm gangbanging. But where is my hospital? I don't have one. I can't run home. I mean, I've been shot 2 times. Ain't nobody there can help me do nothing. Because, first of all, I ain't got no home. And the people who are in what we call a home are not at home. If they're black, there's no such thing as a home for a black person in the system of white supremacy. We're just in locations. You don't own anything. You're completely helpless. We don't know how helpless we are. That's how we get arrogant sometimes and think that we can do things that we really can't do because we don't understand white supremacy. We don't understand that word supreme, and we don't like that word, so we act like it's not there, but it is. anything that you get that's worth anything comes from white people if you're black. You have nothing that they don't allow you to have. We're talking about our side, and we got control, and and we don't have control of anything. Not even our next breath, because they can take that anytime they want to, and there's nobody can stop it other than the creator of the universe, or creators, if you believe in several of them.
Yes. All righty. Thank you, Stan. Good to hear from you. I'm going to read some comments on the chat, Mr. Fuller, concerning what you mentioned about the book. Here's one. U.S. publishers still use proxy. That means that there is a broker overseas who facilitates the transactions and shipping. Another wrote, I'm glad Mr. Fuller explained that about publishing, because I don't think most in the listening audience understand how it works. Another comment was, Mr. Fuller probably needs to locate a broker-type person overseas who has connections in the international pubs. Another comment was about it. The book is already published. You have a publisher. Presumably you mean you want a marketing or distributing company. And this one here, the publishing corporations have gatekeepers. Dr. Hare implied that to me when he started talking about fathers in the homes in the 1970s and 80s. They eventually excluded him after he had already published books. They promised his wife, but they blocked him. Those were some of the comments about you and the book being published in overseas. So might be something you might want to investigate. In the meantime and in between time, we're going to go to the state of Maryland and maybe in the DMV. Nicole, get ready. Get ready, Nicole. Here we go. Wait a minute. Okay, Nicole, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Okay, Nicole. Okay, one more time. Nicole? Nope. Okay. Okay, let's go out to the coast. Swa, you're in. Good morning.
Greetings, Mr. Bobby. Greetings, Neely Jr. I'd like to stay on the line.
Okay.
Mr. Neely Jr., what qualifies a person to be a man or woman?
If you're black or non-white,
yes,
you can't be.
Exactly.
You're male and female, according to the code, according to logic. You're in the category of being males and females, but man means manager, woman means the womb of a manager. And a lot of black females are just giving up on black males, even without saying that that's what they're doing, and just trying to do the best they can on their own simply because they're forced to. They can't depend on the black male. And why is it that the black male can't be depended on by the black female? Because the white supremacists got it set up that way. The white supremacists have to support both of the black male and the black female. So white supremacists more and more are saying, you black males are supposed to take care of your black female. And since the beginning of white supremacy, we've never been able to do that. Because we're prisoners of war. Prisoners of war can't, you don't have families. You talking about my family, that's out. The code calls them care mates. You can be somebody's care mate. But if you're black, anywhere on this planet, you don't have a family. Your family has been had by whom? The white supremacists. So that's been abolished. There's no such thing as a black family. These are just fellow prisoners, male and female, sheltering along. I mean, in migrant camps, sometimes separated and scattered all over the place. The white supremacists determine who's going to be where. And under that type of arrangement, you don't have any type of family networks or anything else. You just network with the people who are around you. And so you have care units. What is a care unit according to the code? That's a term I made up. Anybody who cares about you. And you can care about them in return. That's the law of compensation. And everybody just helps everybody in any situation that you happen to be in. And sometimes, depending on the situation, you're care-mated with a white person. Why? You're in both of you in the same situation. You happen to be on a cruise ship, and the cruise ship sinks. And you find yourself trapped in a part of the ship that didn't go underwater, or that is somewhere underwater, but it's sealed off from the water, and it's you and 4 white people. So you become care mates under those circumstances. I mean, all of you screaming and yelling, trying to get somebody to hear you, and then finally somebody finds out that they have a better way of communicating. You figure it out. You can talk to each other. You can't stay there forever, but you're sealed off in such a way that you are dry. You're not even in the water. But water is surrounding you. I'm just giving this as an illustration. So you're caring for each other, and you do the best you can under that care mate situation. And after you get out of that situation, somebody hears you tapping on something or something, they come through, they manage to raise that part of the ship where they can get you out or something, and then you thank the people who got you out, and then you thank the people who helped you while you were in the situation, who are white, and you help them and they thank you, and you might part your ways. I mean, you can just go back to doing what you're usually doing, which is just take part in a slave system called the system of white supremacy. And but those are the circumstances then. Or you might build on it. Hopefully that will be the case. I'll keep in touch with you. And all the white people tell you as a black person, no, you helped us a lot, so I'm going to keep in touch with you. You'll be hearing from me as soon as you get settled in and all like that. And I'd like to exchange information with you about how to get in touch with you, because I'm going to help you out in any way that I can. And we'll all, the 4 of us, the 5 of us all together, 4 white people and 1 black person, and we're going to keep in touch. We're going to be each other's care unit for the rest of our lives, because we went through a terrible experience together. And it's just one of those situations. So you utilize it. As a black person, what does the code say about that situation? And you as a black person in that situation, you take them up on it immediately. You don't say, well, no, I'm going back out. I don't hang out with white folks and all like that. Well, see, you make all the rules for that. You know, it may not, you keep in touch with them, but you never go to their house. But when you need help, you know you can call on them. And they come and give you the help, and then you don't talk to them no more. Well, you can do that with black people. In fact, black people should do that. All of our contacts should be constructive, whether it's black or white. Now, that's a part of the code anyway. That is a part of the compensatory code anyway. You don't contact anybody unless you have a constructive reason for doing so. And black people contact people all day long. You can hear us on the telephone. I mean, we dial one number right after another all day long, making contact. I just want to see what you're doing. How you hanging, man? That should stop. Don't contact anybody unless you have a constructive reason for doing so.
Yes,
that's how mess gets started.
All righty, TX Green 777 mentioning the brother speaking. The brother that was speaking was Stan the Man. He calls in sometime. He hadn't been on for a while, but he was speaking in regard to him saying, are we at a disadvantage? Are black people a utility to white people because of our willingness to assist, etc.? I did not catch the brother's name. However, he posed an awesome question, in my humble opinion. Yeah, that's Stan the Man. I believe he's in Pennsylvania, but that's Stan the Man. Okay. Swa, you said stay on. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do it. Dre, Oklahoma. Let's see here. Okay, Dre, you're there. Dre? Are you there? Okay. We are having some issues today. But that's to be expected because, as Rita said, the word is getting out, so you can expect some of this stuff to happen. Let me try Dre again. Dre, are you there? No? Okay, we already had Swa. Okay. Now, there are some that are hanging on. If you have a question, just hit that button, and we can go from there. By the way, Swa, did Mr. Fuller answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Terrence in Tucson. Thank you, Justin from Illinois. Okay, Justin, let's see here. Boy, they are really at it today. Woo. Justin, go ahead. You're on with Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, sir.
I didn't have a question. I was just listening. I don't know how I got in the queue, but if he could just talk about how black people have a hard time just facing reality, I think he already talked about that a little bit earlier.
He could speak to it again. Hard time facing reality. Okay.
Because when you talk to black people and you explain the prisoners of war situation, a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Don't believe that they are a prisoner of war. Mr. Fuller, can you expound on that? Why we as black people don't believe that we are actually victims or a prisoner of war?
Because we have been told that we are not by the white supremacists. And so we believe it, even though the evidence shows that's exactly what we are. The logic shows. We keep saying that, and I keep telling people to stop doing it. We keep saying that, yeah, we got some white supremacists out here, and we got some racists out here, but and the Americans, and here we go. Without stopping to think, who are these Americans that keep coming up? Americans don't exist. I say that in every way that I can on the air, and I say it all through the textbook. Stop blaming Americans for doing anything. They don't exist. And try to become the first American. That's what black people should be trying to do. And the first Africans, because they don't exist either. and the first Asians. Now, how about that? None of them exist. What exists is white people, non-white people, and white supremacists. Take your pick. White people, non-white people, and white supremacists. That's all that's on planet Earth. There are no Americans on planet Earth. Not one. There are no Asians on planet Earth. Not one. And there are no Africans on planet Earth. Not one. According to what? Neely Fuller with his lunatic self? No. According to logic and evidence.
Logic. Yeah.
Because whom are these people called Americans and Africans and Asians? They are people who practice justice. And in the system of white supremacy, which is the dominant government on planet Earth in 2022, the system of white supremacy and the system of justice cannot exist on the same planet at the same time. It's impossible. Therefore, if you have white supremacy, you can't have Americans, Africans, or Asians. That's the equation. And no judge can prove that to be otherwise. I don't care what their so-called credentials are. If you put that to a test, nobody can argue against that with those type of definitions.
Yes, sir. There was something you said in this dissertation that was very important, which was the word evidence. And when you logically look at the evidence of things that are going around, all around you, the evidence of their actions tell you what that is, or what this system is. It's the evidence of. So I don't know why that people do that, but people do that. Good question. Good question, Justin. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little teeny-weeny break here, then we're going to go straight through. You are listening to the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. We thank you for listening. Now, if you would like to be a part of the program or have a question, not doing Gmails today because we are having a tremendous problem in that. But we will take your questions. All you have to do is call 516-453-9921. And if you are a first-time caller, let the call screener know that you are a first-time caller. Regarding those Gmails, now you can send those to me. They just won't be read today. And once we get the problem worked out, then we could read them. But I don't think that it's going to be today. You can also join the chat room. And they be blowing up in the air. Yeah, go to blogtalkradio.com. Then you want to hit programs. And then once you do that, the Produce Justice Show is an offering for you. You hit that. And then, I believe it's to the right, the icon for the chat room becomes available for you to enter in the chat room. And occasionally I will read some of the chats going on in there, especially since we're having an issue with our Gmails today. But that's all right. Things happen. You expect that to happen. All right. All righty. 516-453-9921. Terrence, get ready. In Tennessee. Here we go. Let's see if we can get you in here. All right, you're on.
I'm here.
Good morning.
Hey. Good morning to you. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. I was listening to Mr. Fuller talk about logic, and I'm with you on that, Mr. Fuller. You can't argue with logic. My question is, so what I found out is, but when you have to present the logic to, the people who were under their control, even though they can't argue with the logic, can they refuse to hear it or refuse to let you present it? Just say, I know that's logical, but I don't care because I'm the master of you, so you do what I say. Can they?
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, just saying, can they ignore logic? Do they have the power to ignore logic?
Yes. You can ignore logic, and it's going to cost you.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you ignore logic, logic is not going to ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe that bridge is there, and the bridge fell down last night, and you drive your car just like the bridge is still there, logic teach you when you start bouncing down that canyon that whomever told you that bridge is out and you didn't believe it, logic will prove it when you try it. You try to drive a car across a bridge that's not there, it was there, but it fell. But you tried to drive your car like the bridge is still there. That's not logical. So the things that I say about white supremacy and all like that, a lot of black people call in on this show and have down through the years. And on other shows have said, that thing called white supremacy, it don't exist. That's just some propaganda Neely Fuller's putting out. I say, okay, just keep believing that. And see how far you go. See how far you go with your belief. See, I'm just a signpost. I tell people that. I don't invent nothing. I just point out what's already there. Or if I discover that it's not there, I just simply say it's not there. It used to be there, maybe, like that bridge. Yeah, it used to be a bridge there. It fell down 2 months ago. Now the person can say, yeah, well, I wasn't here 2 months ago, so I don't care what you say. Well, go down there and see for yourself. That's the best I can say, and that's all I do on this program. Because I go strictly by logic. Because my head has been bumped a whole lot of times not being logical. And still is. My head is still being bumped. Why? Because I went against logic. And you think you're going to fool with logic, try it. Everybody who does that, and it doesn't make any difference whether you're white or non-white, you go up against logic. Logic means cause and effect. These are laws of the universe. That's all I do. That's why the words that I use and all like that, I say they'll hold up. Because it's not Neely Fuller talking, it's logic talking. And every now and then, Neely Fuller, and I make mistakes. And we find that out. I find that out. I think I'm being logical when I'm not. And when I find out that I'm not, how did I find out? Because somebody told me? No. Because logic slapped me over the head and said, Fuller, you thought you were being logical, but you weren't. Logic means dealing with the truth. And, you know, the truth does hurt, but when the truth hurts, it's supposed to. That's a signal that what you're doing needs to be looked at, and maybe you should be doing something else. So when the truth is painful, that's what pain serves a purpose. It lets you know that something is in error. That's what pain is for. If you cut yourself and you don't feel any pain, something is way out of line. You cut yourself with a razor, and you got a big gash, and blood is sprouting all over the place. Now, you might be the type of person that doesn't feel pain, but you're supposed to feel pain and a whole lot of it. Otherwise, what? You're going to die. You're going to bleed to death. You sat there and bled to death because you didn't feel no pain.
Maybe you use the word truth, Mr. Fuller. Maybe Jack Nicholson's character in the movie called A Few Good Men, when he was the major or whatever he was over that base in
Colonel Jessup.
Yeah, Colonel Jessup.
That was his name in the movie, A Few Good Men.
Yes, that's it.
And he said, "You want the truth?" He said, "Yes, I want the truth." He said, "You can't handle the truth."
Yeah.
That's a famous line now.
That's what I was getting at. You can't handle the truth.
A lot of black people can't handle the truth. Why? Because it's painful. We don't want to feel no more pain, all right? But I always say, give me the bad news first. Good news will take care of itself.
So what is that truth replaced with, Mr. Fuller, since they can't handle it?
Oh, you still tell the truth. You don't never deviate from the truth. Man, you can't replace the truth except with falsehood. So you don't want to ever encourage a person to believe something that ain't true. Because we love doing that. We love lying to ourselves. That's why we wind up dead early.
Like
we think we can go down there and rob that same store 15 times in a row at gunpoint. Logic says you're going to make a mistake. 15 times in a row, you're going every day. Logic says you are not likely to make it to 15. You got your plan calls for 15 times in a row. Same place, same time of day, everything.
Yes.
Your logic should tell you do that. But by the time you get to that 10th time, something bad's going to happen that you didn't expect.
That's interesting because a certain person said that he had won the election, a past presidential election, but the evidence by logic shows that was not true. But he's still saying it. I won.
Well, you get illustration after illustration because the universe is set up in a logical. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
The universe is set up in a logical order. I mean, the sun comes up in a different way, what we call the sun coming up. The sun doesn't move, all right? But we say it's coming up. No. The earth moves. Okay, they found that out a long time ago.
Okay.
By using what? By using logic.
Logic, yes.
Yeah. That's why there's been some new scientific breakthroughs saying that they can do away with, I heard it yesterday on TV, fossil fuels. They found out a new way to get energy without using fossil fuels or any other kind. These windmills they got that they're working on, they say they're working on something now that goes beyond that.
Where
you can get energy, it's a way of just getting energy almost out of nothing. They found a scientific way. They say they're working on it, but they have made the major breakthrough that you will never need gas, oil, pay a gas bill, and none of that. And even with, they say, getting energy from the sun, where they got the windmills and all the solar patterns, they said they found something just recently where you can bypass all that.
Is that right?
Bypass all the, yes, I heard that on TV yesterday. People can probably dip into it. They say they have found out a new way. They stumbled up on it. They didn't even know it was there. of just pulling energy out of nowhere and making cars run, make your electric lights run forever, and all this.
Oh man!
They say they're right on. They say they're right on the cutting edge of having that in a few years. They say it's just a matter of figuring out a few more things. Figuring out means what? Being logical.
Being logical?
Because that's how they found that out.
Okay, I guess I'm skeptical because that sounds like bohica to me, which means bend over, here it comes again. Toussaint, you're in. What is your question for Mr. Fuller?
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Good morning, sir.
All right. Good morning. I just have two quick questions. My first question is, Mr. Fuller, when having conversations with non-white victims of white supremacy, I've been told that we focus too much on white supremacy and not enough on action, and that white supremacy, when we use that term and throw it around so much, it creates a negative atmosphere, or it gives white people too much power. What would you say to people who believe that we focus too much on racism, white supremacy, and not enough on action?
You ask a question, a logical question. What should we focus on? And just keep asking questions. Every time you get an answer, don't argue about the answer. That's the procedure. Just ask the next 15 questions or 200 questions until you finally come to the answer to all of the questions, the final answer. And how do you know when you arrive at the final answer? When you arrive at what you can do to solve a problem. That's the final answer. Every problem has an answer of how to solve it. It's just a matter of questions and answers. So if a person wants you to stop doing one thing, it means that they want you to start doing something else. So all you do is just follow the logical procedure. You do what the person asks you to do. Stop doing this. Okay, well, if I stop doing this, what do I do? And that person, if they don't know, they just simply say, I don't know. Then you say, well, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I don't know either. But you say, you want me to stop doing what I'm doing. So what do I do? Now, I got suggestions in the textbook about what to do. I'm just assuming that we have a thing called white supremacy. I just don't talk about white supremacy, endlessly. I got suggestions. This textbook for victims of white supremacy says what to think, suggestions for how to think about this problem we have, if you can call it a problem, and what to speak about it, what to say about it. First thing you say about it is that the problem exists, and then it says action and action. See, I got the word action in there. What to do. Now, if somebody wants me to stop doing this thing that I'm doing, or if they want you to stop doing, if anybody wants you to stop doing anything that you're doing, it means they got something better for you to do. So you just simply do the logical thing. What's better than what I'm doing?
Okay.
You tell me, and I'll do it. I'll start doing it right this minute. Always want to do something better.
Yes, sir.
So if you tell me white supremacy don't exist, we got another problem. White supremacy ain't no problem. Stop telling people that. Okay, what do I tell people? What do people have problems? Let's just start with that. That's the question I would ask. Do people have problems? That's what I would ask any black person that says, Fuller, stop talking about white supremacy. And I say, okay, what do you want me to talk about? We talk about black people's problems and how we can solve them ourselves. Okay, how do we solve them ourselves? Now I got, and I'm ready with about 1,500 other questions right behind that one. So be ready for the answers. Because if you can't answer these questions, I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing. That's why I was doing it in the first place. Wasn't nobody answering my questions. As long as somebody answered my question, boy, will I listen. If somebody says, Fuller, I got a formula for solving all black people's problems without having to talk to no white people at all. I'm saying, boy, have I been looking for you.
All right.
And I'll immediately get on the air after he proves that he can do what he just said, man, and I will be, hey, tell me more, and I'll tell everybody. Forget about Fuller's book, man. I ran across that guy last night. Man, he bypassed everything that I'm talking about and went straight to the solutions to black people's problems.
Second question, Toussaint.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. The second question, Mr. Fuller, I listened to a previous broadcast you had where you were speaking about education and the educational system and how it doesn't teach us anything that we can use to actually solve our problems in real time. So I wanted to ask you, throughout my entire schooling, is it safe to assume that the white teachers that I've engaged with or the white teachers that were tasked with educating me were practicing white supremacy? Or in college institutions, is it safe to assume or suspect that white people in any of these educational institutions are practicing white supremacy? Thank you, Mr. Bobby. Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
If I understand the question, all establishments of learning have put together, have not come up with a solution to black people's problems. All of them put together so far haven't even scratched the surface of solutions. Now, identifying the problem, for the most part, they've done that. They've been successful at that. When it comes to solutions, they haven't even touched the surface. That's Harvard, Yale, I don't care what it is. Tuskegee, we're talking about solutions to black people's problems. Every black person that comes out of any of those institutions comes out almost empty-handed when it comes to solutions to black people's problems. They have most of us, I don't care what school we've been to, don't have a clue of even touching that. The solution department. Where is the solution department in this institution? Oh, yeah, now waxing eloquent, speeches, term papers. Oh, we got that down pat. I mean, done all the pioneer work on that. Solutions to sometimes just the most elemental of problems. How are you going to get that roof over your head next month? Is anybody in this institution can tell me how I can get this done next month? Because next month they're going to set me out on the street. Now, is there anybody in all these Ivy League schools, is there any super brain, whether you use Einstein or the expert in kente cloth? I got myself sitting out there in the rain, and I'm black. Does anybody have a solution for that? Everybody looks at everybody and say, well, this is academia. Well, what is that? Say, well, you don't have solutions to nothing. Well, why am I here? You come to a learning institution to learn what? How to solve every problem that you will ever encounter. Now,
wow.
Does anybody match that?
Good question. All righty, Ray, tell us. You are on with Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. I have two questions this morning, if I could stay on the line, please. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. I'm still learning. Is it constructive to correlate the 10 Commandments from the Old Testament with the 10 stops from the Code Book?
Is it what now?
Is it constructive to correlate the 10 Commandments from the Old Testament
to do what?
What's
that word? Correlate or whatever.
Correlate.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Correlate the 10 Commandments.
Yes, from the Old Testament with the 10 stops from the textbook with the intentions of replacing white supremacy with justice.
Oh, anything that you learn in any book, whether it's the Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament, so lots of things in the Bible. Otherwise, the Bible wouldn't have lasted so long, that you can use to solve problems, because all it is solving problems. All right, the Bible is all about, supposed to be, solving problems. That is why, logically speaking, the Bible has been preserved. See, people have an instinct about not wanting to fool with nothing that doesn't help them to solve a problem. That's just a natural thing. So the Bible would not have lasted at least a couple of thousand years, at least, unless you could find something in it. The average person anywhere on the planet could find something in what they call the Holy Bible, including the King James Version, which I have been told is an abbreviated version of the whole Bible. The whole Bible would probably be 4 times or 5 times, I don't know what the limit is, the size of the average King James Version of the Bible. Now, that's what I have heard, rumors about that. I don't know if that's true or not. There's no way for me to find out except what people tell me. I wasn't here when the first Bible was written by anybody. I mean, so some people say there are dozens and dozens of books of the Bible that weren't preserved. And some people say that King James actually burned the original versions and just took out what he thought to help keep him to be king. And so that could be true. I don't know. But any book that you happen to have that tells you how to solve a problem or helps you to solve one that you have, by all means, use anything that will help you to solve a problem constructively. Now, picking up some book about, following some tattoos that people got about how to be a thug, I wouldn't recommend that. But that's me.
That's you. Okay, what's your second question, Ray?
Yes, Mr. Fuller, does the number 144,000 mean anything to you?
The number 34,000?
144,000.
144,000. No, it doesn't mean anything. I haven't heard that. What does it mean?
I'm still learning.
Have you heard what it means?
No, sir, I'm still learning.
What did somebody say it means?
I'm not
Except
sure.
what it says. 100, whatever that. 104. What's the number? That's a set of numbers. You say 144,000, 134,000.
144,000.
144,000. Well, it means to me right now 144,000. That's what it logically means to me right this minute. Now, 144,000 of what? I don't know. Because you didn't mention anything else. Dollars, houses, years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ray. 144,000. I think we have time for one more, maybe. George again, Toronto. George, you're on.
Oh, hi, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller. I just wanted to understand, is racial shadowboxing confusion and racial showcasing confusion, is that the same thing like if you have a president, just say like President Obama, and he was a non-white person, then they racially showcase him, and that would be considered confusion. And then when they do racial shadowboxing confusion, if another black person has something else that the other black person wants, and then they fight each other, that's considered racial shadowboxing confusion. Is that correct, Mr. Fuller?
No, racial shadowboxing confusion means the white supremacists are doing something they shouldn't be doing where black people are concerned, and we blame a black person for doing it because the black person maybe was the person that they put the camera on or whatever, use that as an example, and had them to say, this is, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm in charge of this. The first thing you know is that the black person ain't in charge of nothing in the system of white supremacy. All right? The black person is there to make you think that that black person is in charge of anything. And so what you do, you blame the black person for whatever is going on. Because that's why the black person was put there, to be blamed. So I call it shadowboxing in the textbook for victims of white supremacy, because the white supremacists put a black person up front, and they pulling all the strings in the back room.
Yeah.
All right? And they get you to want to kill that black person. That handkerchief head Negro up there, the N-word and all that. Man, we need to get rid, if we just get rid of people like them, them Toms, man, that's our problem. We got too many Toms. We kill all the Toms, and then we don't have no more problem. Well, it doesn't work. See, the code says it doesn't work because you still got to deal with the white supremacists. And the white supremacists are pulling all them strings. So what you do, according to the code, you listen to the black person and always be polite and kind and all like that. But if it's harmful, if what that black person is being accused of doing is harmful to black people, look behind the curtain. Find the white person who told that black person to do whatever's being done. So that black person certainly wouldn't be doing it if the white supremacists hadn't put them up to doing it.
Remind me of the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's it. It's always in shadow boxing. See, you're boxing. That's why I gave it that slang term. Yeah. Shadow boxing. We understand the principle of shadow boxing. You're boxing the white supremacist shadow. You're not boxing the white supremacists. So you can box a shadow all day long. If I make a shadow on the wall and you start swinging at the shadow, what are you doing? You're wearing yourself out.
All right. Shadow boxing is the last because you can't knock a shadow out. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Thank you, callers. I am so sorry. Our time has expired. So thank you for listening, and we will try to do better next week. Oh, man.
Don't racial shadow box. And go to producejustice.com.
Producejustice.com. Everybody have a good week. Thank you.
Thank everyone.
I'm just glad to be a part of the show.